everybody, I'm Lucy.
And I'm Dad.
And today we're going to learn about the story of Noah and the Great Flood.
Hey Lucy, knock knock.
Who's there?
Nita.
Nita who?
Need a boat? I know a guy.
Nice. do. Hey everybody, it's time for Sunday school on a Thursday, or whatever day you're watching this on. Da-do-do.
So Lucy, today we're going to learn about the story of Noah and the Great Flood. Where can I find it in my Bible?
You can find it in Genesis 6 through 9.
So right there at the beginning of my Bible in the book of Genesis, chapters 6 through 9, it's in the very early part of our Bibles. The first 11 chapters we kind of see as prehistory in the Bible. If you think about Adam and Eve in the garden, and Cain and Abel, and the Great Flood, and the Tower of Babel, that all happens early. It happens before Abraham and Sarah show up in Genesis chapter 12. And so this is early material. We date it to about 2300 BC. So let's see, when was Jesus born?
About 2,000 years ago.
So if Jesus was 2,000 years ago and you go another 2,000 years, maybe 2,300, that's about where the Great Flood happens. It happens in the Mesopotamian Valley, what we would call the current Middle East. So let's see, let's walk through this story together. What do we know about the Great Flood? What can you tell us?
Okay, well, there's this guy named Noah, and God tells him he has to build an ark because there's going to be a big flood. So he builds an ark, and then all the animals go on, 2 by 2. And it's a lot of animals. And then after that, there's a great big flood with a lot of rain and water and being really wet. And then after 40 days of rain and flood, there's a rainbow.
Hey, that's pretty good. That was a good story. Hey, tell me, is this a happy story?
Yeah, it's happy and fun.
It's happy and fun. In fact, we probably teach it to just little kids, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. What's interesting, the story of Noah and the flood is one of the most theologically difficult stories in all the Bible. It's a story where we're told the whole world became wicked, and God creates this flood, and a lot of people and animals and communities, homes, they're all destroyed. It's a difficult story. So let's dive in. Let's go to our Bibles.
All right, awesome.
Into the Bible.
This is Genesis 6, 9, and 10. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Okay, so what do we know about Noah?
Well, he's a really good guy and faithful to God, didn't really make a lot of mistakes, and he had 3 sons, one named after lunch meat.
Lunch meat? Is that Japheth?
No, Ham.
Ha! Okay, what's going on in the world at this time?
This is Genesis 6, verse 11. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. So just how bad was the earth at this time?
Well, how bad can you imagine?
Pretty bad.
Well, let's go to our Bibles just before this at verse 5.
This is Genesis 6, verses 5 through 8. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. So the Lord said, I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created, and with them the animals, the birds, and the creatures that move along the ground, for I regret that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord.
Okay, what do we learn about how bad humanity was here?
Well, it was really, really bad.
What does God decide to do about it?
Well, he floods the whole entire earth.
But if God floods the earth, what happens to all the people and the animals?
They would drown.
And see, there you go. Here's the hard part of this story, is that God creates this flood that would take the lives of so many people. We know that God loves us, and he creates this beautiful world for us to live in. So how is God feeling?
Probably very angry and disappointed. And it even says right here that God was sorry he even made people. That's how bad they were.
So there you go. This is a story that's got a lot of death in it. It's a difficult story. It's a sad story. It's a difficult picture of God.
Well, but he still saved Noah.
He does. God saves Noah and his family and all the people of that region through them. Let's see, what happens next in the story?
Well, God warns Noah, and he builds a big boat.
It was the length of 1.5 football fields.
Okay, so we have our ark. What happened next?
Animals.
That's right. Noah, he fills up his ark with different pairs of animals from that region. We are specifically told that it was 7 pairs of clean animals. Those were animals that could have been used for food. They would have eaten them on the voyage, and then some could have been used for sacrifice at the end of the voyage, and it would have been just pairs of unclean animals.
What about dinosaurs?
Yeah, there are no dinosaurs on the ark.
But there's 2 of them.
No dinosaurs on the ark.
Okay, what about unicorns?
As we all know, the unicorns didn't make it on the boat. Okay, so now we've got all our animals in the ark. What happens next?
Well, God shut the door.
God shut the door, and then what?
Rain.
That's right. How much rain?
40 days.
40 days and 40 nights it rained. Anytime we encounter the number 40 in the Bible, it means a long time. So it rained a very long time. And at the end of it, we're told the whole earth was flooded.
Wait, was it really the whole earth?
That's the great question and a big question. Was it really the whole earth that was flooded? We can understand it either way. That it could have been the whole world right down to Australia, and it includes everything, but it can also mean the whole world according to Noah. That when the flood comes, Noah, he's living in that big Mesopotamian valley, and if that valley flooded up with flood waters, like for 100-year flood, the kind of flood that only comes once in a long time, it would seem to Noah like the whole world had flooded, and everyone he knew was lost. So we can understand this story either way, that it can be the whole world literally, or it can be the whole world that this man knew.
So after the flood,
Yes, what happens next?
the rain stopped.
We're told that the world was flooded for 150 days after the rain stopped. And then what?
Noah sent out birds.
All right, so what does Noah send out first?
First, he sends out a raven.
Raven. So off goes the raven. There it goes, looking for dry land. Does it find any?
No, it doesn't.
No, we're told it flies around and around, back and forth across the face of the world, but does not find any dry land, doesn't find any place. And we think it runs out of gas. We don't think the raven comes back because Noah has to move on to another bird. So what does Noah use next?
A dove.
A dove. Now I'm pretty sure that's really a goose, but we'll make that work. So let's see. Noah sends the dove off, and it comes back, but it hasn't found anything at first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Noah, he waits a week, and he sends the dove out a second time. And this time when the dove comes back, it's got a little branch, a little piece of olive leaf in its beak. What does that mean?
That means there's land.
It have found some place to perch, right? The waters are receding, so the flood is coming to an end.
So then the ark came to rest on the side of a mountain in what is now modern-day Turkey.
At the end of the flood waters had lasted for 12 months and 10 days. So the ark was out on the water for an entire year. All right, so our ark has come to rest on the side of a mountain. What happens next?
Noah releases all the animals.
Noah releases those animals back into the wild. Then what?
Then he sacrifices some of them.
He wants to be thankful to God. God has taken care of his family in this traumatic event, so he has a sacrifice and he's giving God praises. And then we come to the exciting end of our story. Tell you what, let's go back to our Bibles.
All right, let's go.
This is Genesis 8, verses 20 and 21. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and, taking some of all the clean animals and clean birds, he sacrificed burnt offerings on it. The Lord smelled the pleasing aroma and said in his heart, "Never again will I curse the ground because of humans, even though every inclination of the human heart is evil from childhood. And never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done."
Okay, Lucy, so what does God promise there?
He promises never to flood the earth again.
He'll never flood the whole world and take everybody's life like that again. And God, he creates a covenant. It's like a promise with Noah and with his descendants, with humanity not to do that. What's the sign of that
It's
promise?
a rainbow.
Rainbow, a natural event tied to rain, that when we see that rainbow in the clouds, we're reminded of God's promise, how he's committed to us.
And that's a big deal, because it's all about how God doesn't want to destroy us for our sins. He wants us to live. It's time to sum it up.
All right, Lucy, so there's the whole story from Genesis 6 to 9 of the great flood at the time of Noah. What did we learn? Why does this event happen?
It happens because all the people were being very evil continuously.
Yep, the thoughts of all their hearts were just evil continually, and God takes action against that. But we also see God's love in this story. How do we see God's love in it?
He saves Noah and some of the animals that lived there.
He does. He saves Noah and his family. He continues humanity through them and the animals of that region through those animals that were saved. So we see a lot of God's love in this story, even though it's a difficult story.
Hey everybody, it's time to dig deeper into the Bible.
That's right. Here at the end, we want to throw a couple more details at you. Lucy, did you know that our flood story from Genesis, it's really two stories that have been edited together. One written by a writer we know as the priestly writer, one written by a writer we know as the Yahwist writer. You can tell them apart. The priestly writer always refers to God as God. The Yahwist writer always refers to God as Yahweh, that is the Lord. But it's worth looking up.
Also, didn't Noah appear in an early work of fiction?
He does. You can find a variation of the Noah story in one of the earliest works of fiction in the Western world. That is the Epic of Gilgamesh. There's a figure like Noah who's involved in a great flood, builds a big boat, saves some animals, and at the end, the gods in the story of the Epic of Gilgamesh, they grant that Noah figure immortality. It's interesting how a different culture adapted the story of Noah for their own purposes. Again, there's a lot to be learned here. We encourage you, dig deeper.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe to our channel. Check back in for more videos on the Bible.
Because the Bible is awesome!
Da-do-do.